Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have a 2 versus 2 on the Omaha map for you. This is a random game. I don't know any of the people I'm playing with today. I joined a random lobby I think and decided to play this 2v2. So in this one we're playing up to 3,000 conquest points and I'm going to be playing the 3rd Armoured. I'm playing with my teammate who's using a 2nd Infantry, and we're playing against the 17th SS Panzer Division and the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division and the 12th SS Panzer Division. So in this one, if we set this to my point of view, I'm going to be taking basically the right side, including this sort of town area, and I'm going to have my teammate take the left side. So he chose that himself. I decided to just fill where he didn't want to go. And we decided to play this out. So this was a very interesting map. I'm coming back with the 3rd Armoured. I have been using the 3rd Armoured quite a lot lately. It has definitely been one of my more favourite decks recently. My overall favourite is definitely the SS Panzer, but the close second favourite is the 3rd Armoured. I think both of them are extremely strong decks, and head on, they definitely cause crazy battles to occur. Either way, in this one, let's just have a quick look at my starting composition. I've got my general sort of half-track with armoured rifles, with the armoured leader coming up behind with the M3A1 half-tracks with the 50 cals. I've got those combinations going on again there with the Jeep with the AT gun. Then over on the far right, another AT gun with a Scott and some more infantry with the command infantry. So I'm just going to have this AT gun sit on this hedgerow just here. That can fire all the way down the road, as you can see, and can get its max range from that position. I'm just going to have it sit on that edge there, and then I'm going to have the infantry cover it off for any enemy infantry that decide to push up onto it, because that would be the only way they could really deal with anything coming up that road. Let's just speed things up. My teammate is going to be making use of some of the newer units, the M7DD and the M15 GC or CGMC. He's actually got one of those at the start. That's an AA. Very interesting to see an AA brought in at the start. All of these are just going to be normal rifle squads. But we are underway. So the plan here, I was basically just going to spread out, try and take as many strong points as I could, try and get some infantry into this town area, and really take advantage of having the roads in the centre that allow us to get to the centre of the map early on. And already we've got the +1 because of that. Generally the Axis side of things, they have to push down the left and right early on in order to even things out, because I'm obviously going to get up into the centre early on, and I'm going to take full advantage of that. Now this AT gun did actually take a 1-shot 1-kill, I believe, onto one of the half-tracks, which did kill off a recon squad as well, so that was really, really nice at the start of the game. A little bit of luck there, but definitely a good job. I brought over this half-track to just cover off this tree line here. Now I'm starting to move forwards these half-tracks along with the M8 Scott towards these tree lines. And the plan was that the infantry again would reveal the enemy infantry, then I would have the Scott and the half-tracks push onto them, and the armoured leader going to be following up. Again, the 57mm AT gun, that's going to be firing at the Opel Blitz. They actually have a Firefly on this right side, and I do spot that pretty early on. They also have the AT gun here, so me pushing up on this right side is actually pretty futile. I really wouldn't make any progress with any sort of tanks, any sort of half-tracks up that right side. So I'm deciding right now where I really want to attack, and currently in the centre I'm being pressured as well. Stoke 3 going to come over and try to engage my half-track there. And I'm busy concentrating on moving all of these forces forwards, getting them into sort of a triangle here so they can push forwards the armoured rifles. And what I'm kind of waiting on is enemy infantry pushing onto me. And if that does happen, then my fire support will be able to destroy them, and then I can counter push through the actual hedgerow. I'm also bringing over an AT gun here and that's to provide like 2 angles of attack onto the Firefly if it comes down the road. Enemy mortar is going to be engaging my troops on the left. My teammates are spread out quite nicely over here. Definitely could have pushed a little bit further though through this sort of cover here and maybe moved the rifles up to the edge building. I do lose the half track as it tries to run away from the Stug 3. I've managed to get this one behind the trees. That's just going to stay there until it's needed. Going to get these armoured rifles back. I was thinking of pushing into this side of the town, but the trouble with that at the moment is I'm not entirely sure what's there, and if I push out in the open, I leave myself vulnerable to attack, and basically if I lose these units in the centre, I also lose the front line. So I don't want to make an attack that's unnecessary. I'm just sort of looking again for an enemy weakness, and at this point I know that they're strong on the right side. I have the AT gun and they have the Firefly here. I'm unsure of what's in the centre. I know that there's a Stug here, so I can't push in this direction. So the only real opportunity for me at the moment that I saw was this little gap here. There's a small gap between these tree lines where you can push into these buildings, and it's a sort of safer bet because you can see how the front line is bowed here. That means there's not really much infantry in this tree line, which allows me to push infantry through that tree line and then have the support, the half tracks and the Scot move forwards on the left and run down the hedgerow. The armoured rifles did reveal some infantry there. They are going to get pinned down by the half track and so on. Enemy AT, or our friendly AT gun is going to get taken out by one of these ME-109s. Now my AT gun on the right, well, that's actually just going to blow up the Firefly at max range. That was actually quite a lucky kill. You can't really see it from my perspective, but if I change it to the enemy's perspective, that's a very dead Firefly. And I was just lucky that I noticed that, because otherwise I wouldn't have known that the Firefly was dead on that right side. We're still worried about pushing on this side though. So as you can see, I'm now starting to bring over the armoured rifles and the armoured leader to my original plan, which was to push through onto this town. All my units moving over. Gonna get the Scot and the half tracks into line of sight across this field, and then I can push the armoured rifles into the field and then use the half tracks and so on to provide covering fire. Now an AT gun and the Stug do take out another one of my half tracks here. Really annoying that they kept trying to probe and kill off those half tracks. It's a good idea, but definitely just annoying for my sake, from my side of things. I do actually manage to destroy that Kubel, which probably was bringing in some reinforcements, so would have done some damage to them. My rifle squad was actually in the open and not in cover, so I had to get them into cover. And that's going to stop the Stug from being effective. I'm also rolling over my AT gun to the left side to eventually take care of the Stug. I'm going to reveal some Panzer Grenadiers here, thanks to the armoured rifles moving across into the field. And now I can bring up the Scot to provide fire with the HE gun. So that's going to open up with the 50 cal and the 30 cal. Definitely do a lot of damage to the Panzer Grenadiers. A second Panzer Grenadier squad is going to be discovered, but my fire support is pretty much very safe at the moment. I'm covered off from the left side from the Stug. I've killed the Firefly on the right, so he can't move that over to cover off against all of my half tracks. And I can continue this push. I can allow my armoured rifles to be pinned down. That's absolutely fine, because as long as these guys are firing, I'm able to fire back. Now this armoured leader tries to push up through the tree line. Unfortunately there is this half track here that is doing a little bit of damage. I'm trying to pin it down with the mortar, but now I'm being hit by infantry from the town as well. I'm being cornered slightly here, but I have a little trick up my sleeve, and that is 2 M5A1s. These little beauties with their 3 30 caliber machine guns are on their way alongside this half track. I'm bringing that with me, and what I'm going to do is just get all of my troops together and push on to this infantry. I'm not too concerned about this AT gun dying. I still have the one on the far right, the ME-109 taking that out though instead of focusing on my half tracks and the Scot. That was fine by me. because this is what's really making the push right now. Now with that AT gun gone, they are going to try and push me here with some Panzer Grenadiers, but I do of course have the armoured rifles and the mortar carrier here. So that's going to fire at these Panzer Grenadiers. Tanks slowly making their way round. Going to have the M5A1s hopefully engage those, but they decide to fall back as well. I have these guys on attack move orders to basically come round and support this push up the hedgerow. But the half tracks all spread up here, as you can see. My armoured rifles are still alive, so they're still going to be able to take care of the Panzer Grenadiers. Off-map artillery is starting to come in now, as you will see. And we'll start to do some morale damage to my units. Unfortunately, my Scott does get destroyed there, but I'm going to move out my half tracks to engage the enemy AT. And then what I'm going to do is bring the M5A1s into line of sight so that I can shoot that. So the AT gun did a great job in killing the Scott. I don't think they quite anticipated in me having two M5A1s, however. And I was fortunate enough to bounce the shot there onto the M5A1, and that allows us to finish that Pack 38 off. So now is M5A1s with the multiple machine guns. Definitely going to be able to pin down a lot of the enemy infantry. This armoured leader taking a beating though. But there go the Spähtrupp. My mortar carrier is still firing away, just trying to pin down some of the enemy infantry with that mortar. Now my armoured rifles are running forwards. Basically, again, I'm letting them get pinned down so they reveal enemy infantry positions. And I'm pretty sure at this point the enemy should have realised that and probably put them on to return fire, because my fire support is just overwhelming. Like, unless they're going to bring in like another airstrike and hit these M5A1s, they can't really do too much. Also, the artillery that was coming in, the off-map artillery, wasn't really doing anything at all, to my tanks at least. It was still pinning down my infantry, but to my tanks it was doing absolutely nothing. I'm just pinning down half track on the right side. There is going to be an ME-109 coming in and hitting this half track. Just moving the AT gun back to the right. I was actually originally moving it over to the left so that it had a better ambushing position, but moving it back over to the right now to take care of this half track. These half tracks in the open are pinning down these Panzer Grenadiers, and I finally take out these Panzer Grenadiers with the help of the M5A1. Now, with all of the focus being put into the centre of town part here, I actually had a chance to run forwards these armoured rifles and the armoured leader from this compound, which was really great because allowed me to get in here and finish off some of the Panzer Grenadiers that had been pinned down by the M5A1 at close range. And basically I'm making a nice sort of spearhead through into this position now, avoiding all of the AT guns on the right side. Now, I do end up accidentally mortaring my own armoured rifles there, and I am forced to fall them back because they are being hit by enemy mortar fire at the same time. Over on this right, well, I drop off the infantry that was in the half tracks here that reinforced, and I use those half tracks to pin down all of the infantry that was trying to push out in the open, and then these armoured rifles are going to be moving up to this town to make some ground. Meanwhile on the left, well, my teammate's just holding his ground, not really doing too much, trying to make a few movements here and there with his rifle squads, but it's mainly up to me at the moment, making this push forwards. I do unfortunately lose the armoured leader there to another off-map artillery strike. And while they are trying to come back with these half-tracks, trying to pin down my infantry and bring in more infantry of their own, but as you can see the M5A1s are able to just kill off those half-tracks no problem, and the M3A1 half-tracks with the 50 cals also do a great job too. I did manage to make an infantry squad surrender there, thanks to the armoured leader. I am starting to make a little bit of ground in the centre, 52% lead. Nothing too significant quite yet. We're only running at currently 140 points, up to the 3,000 needed in order to win. still making a lot of ground, trying to keep these M5A1s just out of range of the Panzerfausts. Same with the half-tracks, because I want to keep them all alive as long as I can. I don't want the half-tracks to die unnecessarily. Fortunately, as soon as like any units try and retreat from this tree line, they are going to get caught out by the armoured rifles and pinned down. There is an enemy anti-air there. That's going to get targeted by the 50 cal half-track. These armoured rifles are in a great position now. And now I'm going to be engaging more of these APCs and so on. This APC was being fired upon by the Pack 38 on the right and does unfortunately get destroyed, and I'm finally going to be mortaring that with my mortar carrier. I've managed to bring up some reinforcements here. M3 half-track with an infantry squad. Do unfortunately lose a half-track pushing onto this tree line due to a fire from the left side. And now, with me breaking through in the centre, I am going to be starting to swing to the right. They do reveal a Jagdpanzer 4, and I'm kind of crapping myself. I'm like, these M5A1s, they can't deal with that unless they can get close enough. So, this guy had his tracks broken. All I can do at this point is continually fire at the Jagdpanzer, hope it doesn't hit me because it doesn't have any veterancy, and just make it run away, like force it to fall back. Obviously, after a certain amount of shots, it is eventually going to land one onto my M5A1, and I do lose one of the hero M5s. Now I do get the crew knocked out, and that's my chance to run. I actually decide to maybe charge towards him and try and get closer for like a better chance of penetration. And I basically figured out that I didn't want to do that. I will shoot at him one more time, force him to fall back, and then run away. I'm going to be moving up now, away from the Jagdpanzer, using the line of sight of these trees to hide the M5A1 and allow it to continue onto the Panzer Grenadiers. Now they did try and make an infantry push onto this town, but obviously with 3 squads of armoured rifles, 4 squads of armoured rifles, plus the armoured leader there, basically mowed down a lot of the infantry as it tried to attack me. I lost my AT gun in the centre, unfortunately, to another airstrike, but it doesn't really matter at this point. M5A1 is being snuck up upon by the Panther D, and the Panther D actually breaks the tracks of the M5A1, and that poor fella has been doomed. So they're actually starting to bring up the big guns now. Panther D, they got the Jagdpanzer in there. So what do I need to bring in? Jumbos, of course. They've got a jumbo wheeling up this road, supported by the rifles there. Look how cool this looks. The jumbo rolling forward, supported by the infantry running behind them. Really, really awesome. So basically, as soon as this jumbo spots enemy infantry or anything, it's just going to be opening up. I'm going to let the jumbo just attack me up the road. It's actually going to knock out the shooter and the Jagdpanzer, give it a bit of breathing room. I'm also going to start to move up the AT gun behind the jumbo. The jumbo actually does cause the Jagdpanzer 4 to bail out, which was fantastic. Allows me to then focus onto the Panther D. The Panther D already suffering a little bit from morale loss, so that was great. I had this M5A1 giving the up veterancy for the jumbo. I'm going to charge down onto the spear troop, and I'm going to run the armoured rifles over there. The armoured rifles going to just hopefully make them surrender. Being pushed onto this town still by the Panzer Grenadiers. This was a little bit worrying. This was basically my strong point further up, and if I lose this, then like the front line breaks all the way back. Yes? My teammate did bring over an AA piece for me, which was very nice. And now I'm starting to make more of a push onto the right. My AT gun does take out the bailed out Jagdpanzer eventually. And now, just to remain out of line of sight of this Panther D, just continuing to push forwards these half-tracks on the right with the armoured rifles. Panther D does take out one of the half-tracks. I'm going to take out their Panzer Grenadiers, and now my AT gun does have line of sight onto the Panther D as well. Bringing my Jumbo into line of sight. That's going to get a few shots off as well. We're still being engaged in the town. The armoured rifles here getting pretty low on ammunition. Still having enough to force back enemy infantry. My half-track does get hit, or my AT gun gets hit again by an ME-109. They really enjoyed doing that throughout the game. Those ME-109s, they couldn't stop me. I didn't need AT guns when I had infantry and M5A1s. Again, I'm just continuing to move forwards, using the infantry in front of the Jumbo to force this Panther D back. Panther D basically can't afford to stay there, because if it allows the armoured rifles to get too close to the bazooka, it should be able to do the job. I've got a 76mm AT gun coming through the tree line here. That was so that it could get like a crossfire going onto where the Panthers were over here. You have an enemy rocket strike coming in onto the town. Wasn't particularly worried about that. Going to allow my Jumbo to take care of this Pack 40. 76mm AT gun nearly took out the Panther there, and this Jumbo, well, that just one-shot a Panther D all the way back here. Probably one of the more lucky shots that I've seen. An unvetted Jumbo one-shotting a Panther D first time round. It was pretty incredible. So I was pretty chuffed about that, and that leaves me with 2 Jumbos versus 1 Panther D. And I'm able to just continuously push forwards, especially with the armoured rifles leading the charge. Got to take out the half-track for them, and then my armoured rifles can continue to run forwards. I'm currently pushing into the +2 now, 58% territory gained. Going to retreat my armoured rifles here so they don't continuously get fired upon by the Panther D, and well, here comes the Jumbos. 2 versus 1. So one fires, second one fires. Do get a bounce onto that Jumbo. That was actually pretty lucky, because at that close range the AP power of that Panther is actually pretty damn high. But this Jumbo finishes the job with its second shot, and well, the enemy team surrenders, and we win the game. So after 20 minutes and 17 seconds, we win the game by surrender of the enemy team. And basically it was because he lost his Panthers, I think. With those Jumbos killing off the Panthers, and you know, just the territory that I had gained with the infantry, he would have had a very hard time of pushing back into that. So he basically decides to surrender, and I think this was probably one of the more well thought out surrenders that I've seen. Often people tend to surrender for no reason, or surrender too early in a game when it can definitely be brought back. But in this case, I think it was fair to see the enemy surrender, because that was a very big blow that I dealt with, killing 2 Panthers there, and also having destroyed a lot of their infantry trying to attack the town. And I definitely could have tried to use smoke to cover their infantry attacking into the town, especially with like the Stosstroop. If they get them into the armoured rifles, like amongst them, they're going to do a lot of damage. But either way, let's go over to the team. We can see that I basically did the majority of the killing. 2,275 kills to 525 losses in a 20-minute game. Actually pretty crazy how many kills I managed to get. But either way, that managed to carry us to victory. In terms of kills, this AT gun was an absolute boss. It managed to kill the Firefly, which was great at the start. It managed to kill the Jagdpanzer. Then this M5A1 managed to kill so many Panzer Grenadiers and the Pack 38. We also managed to kill some half-tracks and the Panzer Grenadiers with that M5A1. Mortar Carrier took out a Pack 38. Jumbo took out a Pack 40 and a few units, and this Jumbo took out the 2 Panther Ds. This Jumbo, my god, Like the first shot onto the Panther D when it just come in as a reinforcement was insane. But there we go. So I destroyed Hawk on the right side, and Dysteleology basically tried to come in with some units to try and help out. I managed to destroy them in the end. And there you have it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. It was a very interesting game. Sort of shows you that you can just bypass enemy units. The AT guns on the right side and the Firefly were really covering off that road, so I just decided to go through that little hedgerow in the middle, supported by all my half tracks, and having all of those like tree lines surrounding that little area allowed me to use all my fire support in a concentrated area without having to be hit by any AT from long range. So that really sort of showed like finding a weakness where you're, or a weakness in the enemy's defenses, plus a place where your units can really shine. And I think in that case, having like the two M5A1s come in to really push my advantage in that little field area really worked out nicely. But that's all for now, so thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.